Yes, hi, this is Jim Ruff, and we had a little technical difficulty at the beginning of this, so let me give an introduction before we get started. The project, the ToBe Project is the title, How to Transform Capitalism So Humanity Can Steward the Biosphere. And this presentation happened at the Global Earth Repair Conference in 2026. Yeah, okay, now you can see the chart that I had in the front of the room when I gave this talk, and it kind of reflects the whole course of the talk. Um, Global Earth Repair Convergence is the conference. How we can make it really happen is what I'm talking about here. And the black box underneath that is our system. And, and those are the elements in our system. And what I wanted to show is that on the left-hand side, our system creates what I call monster problems. These are the impossible seeming problems that just we must solve. And at the beginning of the session, I asked people to what is fundamentally the most significant problem we face as a society. And they mentioned some of these. And, you know, the top one is the biosphere collapsing. And then there's this maldistribution of wealth, this L curve, the weapons of mass destruction, and artificial general intelligence, and pandemics. And those are just some of them, the monsters which seem impossible, but we have to solve, and they comprise the meta crisis. Now, the people at the conference are here trying to work within the system, and they have basic solution ideas to, well, they're just taking the biosphere issue and the collapsing, and they have a solution, and they're working often in their locality to try and fix things. So they have like climate solutions that they're dealing with, and plant solutions, and soil solutions, regenerative farming solutions, earthwork, etc. So we're all gathered here with people who have solution ideas, and then they want to extend these solutions to have them not just be in their locality, but to somehow network and influence the larger system. And so what that means is there's there's this we need to that's behind it all. We being we number zero is just us here in that with the solutions. And then the first we actor that could help things is the people, which is, and then there's the organizations, and then there's officials. So the people is, so these are the small actors, we zero, trying to influence the people, raising consciousness and awareness, sharing actionable knowledge, and helping people take action. That's one influence. Another influence is on organizations to try and affect philanthropy and media and just the education system so that organizations can change and start incorporating some of these ideas. And then there's the whole idea of officials. Obviously, we want to have policy changes happen in different countries and so forth. So there's affecting national governments, affecting the UN, treaties, that kind of thing. As we join the video and overcome the technical difficulties, the point is being made that the system is creating these monsters. So they reside outside the system, and they can't be solved from within the system. Our system offers this. Boom, 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 that's it. And I'm sorry, they're not enough. They're great, but they're not enough. So there's a missing we here. Who's the we that we all want to have existing in this world? What's the we that should be there?
We the people?
Bingo! Yes, there should be the ideal global actor is all of us in one conversation being wise and responsible, good listeners, thinking together, coming up with a holistic action plan. A real action plan, something that can really work. And when that happens, of course, well, we're all on board with it because we all co-created it. This is what we want. This is what we're trying to do. And in fact, at some point down the road, if we were to have this conversation that was ongoing, at some point we'll realize, wait a minute, we're actually in charge. There's no higher authority than us. We can set up a global governance, we can set up a master plan, we can set up all that stuff. There's a magic sauce in all this.
If only we believe that we can.
Okay, that's a good one. All right, so I keep track of those. Those are concerns. All right, my concern is that we don't believe that we can do anything. All right, so I'm going to write it down. Concerns. We don't believe we can do this whole project. Okay, so that's a concern. But the deal is that the ideal global actor is we the people, all of us. And all of us facing these monsters and thinking together creatively, reaching shared conclusions, acting coherently. And I'm here to tell you, I think we can do this. I think we zero can set this up. We don't need permission from anybody to do it. There's a magic sauce. Want to take another shot at the magic sauce? What'd you say?
Local.
Local, okay. So local is a possibility. Yeah, local is a component part of it, right? Local is a component, but it has to be global also. It has to be global. I mean, it can't just be local. It can't be local. There is a form of conversation that we lost somewhere. The founders of our country happened in the Enlightenment. And they set up a system of thinking and talking and making decisions based on judgment, on agreement, the word agreement, judgment. A lot of these words, all the words that we have don't point to the kind of conversation we need. But I think indigenous people, and we were all once indigenous people, we had that. We had that. We would gather into a wisdom circle or wisdom council, and we knew that we would just talk until everybody was on board and we were all happy. And then we all got on board and we all knew what to do. But there's something called a Dunbar number where you get up too high, 150 or something, I've forgotten exactly, where too many people, and then it crumbles. So the real question is, how is it possible for a few of us, I call it just us, to facilitate this? Oh, and this is the other magic piece, is the quality of facilitation. If we have a reliable way, I call the quality of thinking, let me just show you the words that we have. We have words like, and I might run out of paper. Tell me some words for the kinds of conversation. What are kinds of conversation?
Respectful.
Oh, well, okay, yeah. No, but I mean, give a name of that one. Which one is that one? You know, debate. Okay. What's another one? What would you say?
Like,
What'd you say?
I don't think this is a kind of conversation, but consensus.
Yeah. Yeah, all right. Some kind of way, some kind of maybe consensus building.
Compassionate listening.
All right, compassionate listening. There's the missing form of conversation is what they had in these indigenous tribes, and I'm going to call it to me, there's a diversity, a polarity between decision making. Oh, thank you. Yeah, because our system, all of these words are oriented toward decision making. Does anybody know what the root for that is? What does decision mean? What's the root for that? It means.
I recently learned from someone that it means to actually be cut off from choice.
Yeah, pretty much. It's D means away, and cision is like incision, precision, concision. It means cut away. It means, and it really involves judgment. So this is our system. This is what we do. We put people in rooms and we try and get a decision. And what we do in that is we cut away maybe the minority, like a voting, cut away them. They don't count. We cut away our feelings. We cut away. It's really about that so that somehow we can do, there's an action, a collective action that can happen, but it isn't all of us visiting together, trying to figure out what's best for everybody, facing the real problems, being creative together, having breakthroughs. We're not doing that. And that, I'm going to give a different name to it. It doesn't have a name, so we have to give it a name. Call it choice creating. So we got decision making and choice creating.
Choice what?
Choice creating.
Creating.
If you can read that, maybe. It's a creative process. This is the kind of conversation we need to have. All of us need that. We need to have it in government. We need to have it in organizations. We need to have it. We have to be in this creative, collaborative place where we're listening, and empathetic listening, whatever. We're co-creating the collective will. Now, if you and I know how to facilitate that, this is one magic sauce, if you will. Another magic sauce is facilitation. Because some people think there's only two possibilities here, bottom-up change or top-down change, right? There's a whole nother realm. If you and I facilitate, when you facilitate a meeting, turns out everybody in the room now is thinking at a higher level, and if they think at the highest level, which I think is choice creating, they have breakthroughs and shifts, and all of a sudden, absolutely everybody in the room is saying, yeah, this is better than what I walked in the door with. Let's do this. So I'm saying that the process of facilitation, I call it dynamic facilitation, can pretty much assure choice creating, especially when there's a impossible seeming problem. Because this kind of thinking is really super good for the emotional stuff, the impossible stuff, the dragons. Okay, so we got dynamic facilitation, and we know how to do it in small groups. We know how to create choice creating. Now, and I can tell you more about that if we have time and you want. The website's really loaded with stuff. But the other piece is, how do we do this at large scale? How do we do it for, the whole network of people? That's too many people. It's more than the Dunbar number. How do we do it then? Well, we call it the Wisdom Council process. And this is ongoing. So, and that's the way I like to think of dynamic facilitation. It isn't for just a meeting. You don't want to do it for just a thing, a problem, get the problem solved. You want to do it all the time because it's a different kind of thinking. People start thinking differently. They start acting differently. They start being in a different kind of relationship, which is what I think the indigenous peoples did. So they had their normal activities, but then they would have these gatherings where people were in the spirit of choice creating, and they used ceremonies and such to to engender that spirit. But we can facilitate it. So, and if we do it at large scale, now the way this is a little bit quick to talk to this, but there's lots of backup material. And the bottom line is pretty exciting, I think, because what we're really saying is, let me keep going on this chart then. Okay, the ideal global actor is we the people, all of us, facing the monsters, thinking together, creatively, reaching shared conclusions, and then acting coherently with the corporate. In other words, if we have a shared vision, we've just changed the economic system. If everybody's in a shared vision of what we want to be accomplishing, and we have shared understandings of truth, which is what happens in choice creating, well, there goes the media silo problem, because we now have trumped the different money-making adventures out there that corporations are doing. And all of us are reaching shared understandings of what is really going on. We get it through breakthroughs and shifts. And then we have shared understandings of what we're trying to do. And this really affects the economic system, because if corporations realize that everybody's on board, I don't mean corporations are different, because we all are populated by people too. If all of us, the people in corporations, the people in government, the people in all this, if all of us are in some one conversation, and I'm saying the Wisdom Council process can do that, and I can explain more if you have questions and stuff, but then I mean, it overtakes the profit incentive, a profit motive. I mean, we're all in a corporation trying to do stuff, but we're all really trying to achieve a shared vision, which we don't have. What we have, our system is, don't let me go too fast. I mean, if you're going to, yeah, okay. So, well, you're going to have a question?
I guess I'm just curious about the shared vision. How do we arrive at a shared vision when our values are different across
Yes.
the collective?
Yes. Right now, we have this conversation. In fact, our founders, when they set up our system, they did a great job for their time. So we had the authority of the king, and your job in a king system is loyalty. And our founders set up, I'm going to get to the values question in a minute, but the founders set up a system where the Constitution, a social contract, is supposed to be at the top, right? And that's really sets up a competition. It's like the rules of the game. So you have this competition that's structured. It's structured into our psyche. So we have different values because we are in a different, it's like the blue team versus the red team. That's the whole name of the game. Your loyalty is to the red team or the blue team. So you have different values. Everybody wants to think it's individuals. No, it's the structure. I mean, it's individuals too, but I hope that's a good enough answer. I see another hand somewhere. Was that you? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was asking you to say more about the competition piece. So you think the Constitution sets us up as a two-party system,
Yeah.
looking for differences between us so that we can...
Yeah, it's easy, because if you do voting and you do first past the post, meaning the majority wins, well, everybody gets it that you have to have, what are we going to do to get that majority? We have to get that majority, so we all have to be loyal to our tribe so that we get our thing. Now, of course, there's new ideas about ranked choice voting and things like that could make a difference there, but still, we're still structured to be in a competition. Special interests, everybody is, the founders were in a different time. They had just a few people on the continent, in their section of the continent. And they farmers, fishers, craftspeople, they didn't need much government or anything, so they But so the founders set up the rules of the game, but it wasn't a competition so much. But as you get more and more crowded and interdependent, the competition model breaks down.
We're
You can't.
competing for control of the government.
Well, that's one competition, yes.
Okay.
The other competition is like balance of powers and competing control of the government. The other competition in our system is the laws. So you're competing for money. So, I mean, Elon Musk, there's 5 men in this country that own more than half of the people. 5 individuals. And we call ourselves a democracy?
Pretty gross, ain't it?
Yeah, it's not a democracy. So, I mean, it was a silly idea to call it a democracy. And the founders never did. Founders they didn't want a democracy, they didn't found a democracy. So okay, there's this system which is called democracy, but it's actually a constitutional republic. It's a republic. And this is an authoritarian structure. And these are all people seem to know about as possibilities. But if you and I can facilitate this new conversation around whatever it is we have, this new conversation, there's a we the people conversation, using the Wisdom Council process, which needs a little more explanation, but then we have a whole new system. We have a system that's based more in, hey, what do we want to do? Let's check, time out, how are we doing? Is this kind of world we want? Was it okay we're trashing the planet? Is it okay we're going to have wars? Is it okay to have a president hardly anybody wants? No, we can't have that conversation. It's not available to us because the founders didn't set it up. Now I'm talking US right now, but the same thing's true globally. Because we have these 2 possibilities, the autocracies and the republics. That's it. What we need is this facilitative moment to set up the new conversation, which is really around the both. And all of a sudden, now what happens in this? First of all, I'll go over here back. First of all, we, just us, can convene this missing we the people global conversation using the Wisdom Council process. We call it the ToBe Project. And then the ToBe Project has 2 components. One component is, okay.
Sorry, I have kids.
Yes, okay. Okay, so one component is localities. So if you leave this room and you have a remote locality and you get excited about doing this at the global level or the national level, let us know. We want a locality here and a locality there of people coming together. And what we do in the Wisdom Council process is we randomly select just 12 to 16 people globally. Pure random. They come to one location, we take their picture, and that's a symbol of everybody. And then they go into a room, and probably a problem is picked ahead of time, like one of these that you have mentioned, or like, the separation or whatever. And they will come out like this in just 2 days or so.
With translators.
And they'll be what?
They need translators if they're from all over the world.
You do. You will need translators. That's exactly right. Yes. You need translators. You need a lot of them. But in the process, it still works. I've done this with translators and with voices, in somebody translating in my ears, the facilitator's ears, whatever. But they come out of the room with a unified understanding, and they tell a story of how they got there. And their story is basically, hey, we got stuck here, and then we had a breakthrough, we got stuck here, we got a breakthrough. But here's what we think, that we took this mess and we got this far. And here's what we think the truth is, and what the vision is, what the strategy, the best strategy going forward is. And then the audience, in one locality, and also in other localities, but we have a live audience in the first group. So there they are. They walk on stage and they're done in 30 minutes. But then the people turn their chairs and they talk. And they hear it also remotely in different places. And they turn their chairs and talk. And you got a random selection and they reach unity. Most people say, yeah, let's do that. Why are we, what's the problem? It's a very quick way to generate near unity in a large system. And when somebody goes, oh, no, this is all wrong, everybody turns to hear them. We're interested in the minority now. We want to know, this is pretty commonsensical, what's on your mind? So it's a way, and then we do it again next month. So what happens every month or so. So the conversation continues among us all between sessions in different ways using an asynchronous application and stuff. And then next time we meet in a different global location. Now we're meeting in Austria somewhere, and the Wisdom Council presents to them. But the other audiences that are coming and that have happened are also paying attention. I mean, they want to be a part of what they are evolving.
I'm sorry, can you go back? You said the Wisdom Council comes to them?
Well, yeah, the Wisdom Council meets in a location and then they meet in another location the next time. So we get a random group, a different random group, and each one is in a different location around the world. And when they walk into the audience in Austria versus the Austrians somewhere in Africa, the audience basically hears what they're saying and says, yeah, that's it. And at some point, as we progress, there's an awakening. Now, everybody wants people to wake up, but it's not enough to have people wake up as individuals because we're stuck in the system. We want people to wake up collectively. And that waking up is to a we the people that has immense power. When the Wisdom Council speaks and everybody goes, yes, politicians go, I was saying that all along.
Yeah.
Say again?
I said, yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Question though, where is this happening in the world in real time that you've witnessed that's close to this Wisdom Council rotation?
We've never done the rotation.
Okay, well.
We've never done the rotation. In Austria, in what?
Anything close to what you're speaking of?
Yeah. Well, so we've done lots of experiments in Port Townsend we've done 5 experiments, 3 times in the food co-op, 3 times in the community development department, 3 times in the high schools, 3 times, we've done enough to realize, hey, this is working. But the problem in the local area is they can always gather somebody in a room. They can tell, hey, we're going to have the whole town meet. So they don't see it as so special. But globally, it's pretty special. So we don't need that much money to just start this. And in Austria, 2 states of Austria have adopted it into their constitutions. When I wrote my book, which I have in my, don't see, I brought a copy to show you. I guess it's on my bike. But I wrote a book called Society's Breakthrough in 2002. And so that's why I thought it had to be an amendment to the U.S. Constitution. But it doesn't. We just can do it because of choice creating, wherever that chart is. It's really about choice creating, not about elected officials blessing this. Yeah, it's really about this choice creating and the dynamic facilitation and the Wisdom Council process applied globally and nationally. It's accessible, we can do it, and B, it's really fast acting. I mean, we've done, like I say, we did, when we first started in Austria, at Vorarlberg is the state. We did it, 9 states, and they put it in the state constitution. And the first time they did it was around when the Syrian refugees were coming, and everybody was all upset about that and everything. And so the Wisdom Council came back and said, well, And they told the story of how they got there. They said, well, these people are, we don't want to hurt our culture. We want to maintain our culture. We want to have, I forget what they said, but bottom line, these people are needy, and we can help them. We can't help that many, but we can help what we can, and we actually need them. We need people because our demographics are so bad and stuff. And then they had a list. We need to have them learn German, and they all have to learn German, and they have to, they don't want them to build minarets in the town and things like that. And they had a list. But the problem in Austria was they report to the politicians, not to the people. But the politicians all said, hey, none of us could have said that. Nobody here in this room could have said that. But it was really cool anyway, because the politicians would meet every 6 months in the foyer of their building. They would meet at tables. They'd all sit at tables together and just talk. The Wisdom Council would out, tell them what's going on. And then they'd talk among tables, and then policy would change. It was really cool. Ultimately, so we've had those kind of things. The best examples for me have been in corporations or corporate settings where you get the whole population. You're not talking to the whole. You got just a small group, but you can see that the whole population is on board with this.
You mean the employees?
Their employees. No, the employees. Yeah. Okay. So we had where a lot of my grounding comes from in this was in a sawmill situation where there were 300 hourly employees paid by the hour, and then there were 10% were management paid salary. And but the salary people didn't want anything to do with me. They just said, go make those people feel better, because they're disputing there's in disputes all the time. Angry, holes punched in the wall, Coke machines tipped over. I mean, really a mess. So, but after a while, and the employees all started out with their first issue was, we want to fire the supervisors. Day shift and night shift, both. That's what they want to do, fire the supervisors. Great. I said, how are we going to do that? I'm going to facilitate that. I'm not going to do it. They're thinking I'm going to go do it. No. So I talk to me. And so I facilitated them. And after, it wasn't long before they realized, well, it's not those guys. They're actually pretty good guys. They just are in a system that's screwed. And so here you have the employees of the mill starting to change the system of the mill, and management kind of on the sidelines. Everything's better for them because they're no longer going down to the union hall and raising a stink. They're just making changes in the mill, saying we can do it. We don't need management and all this stuff. It was so great. Productivity, quality, everything went up so high that the president had to fly down and see what the heck was going on. So it was really a great experience to kind of get me grounded in this. And then it wasn't, it was quite a while later that I realized, hey, this is what, I'm sort of developing this, and it's what we did in the mill. I didn't even think about that, So this is a good news story. This can work. Okay, I've been a long time talking about it. And the crazy thing is, for the first umpty years, I would talk about it. Now, people can get excited about choice creating and facilitation and the Wisdom Council process, but they have real trouble getting excited about what I call society's breakthrough, which is applying the Wisdom Council process.
The implementation of what we all come up with. That's where I'm sitting here going, come on, really?
Well,
we gotta do that.
I'm not talking about that right now, but I will. So the problem is that people think it's fine as long as I'm here and this change is happening over here. But as soon as we talk about applying it to the United States or to the global system. Now I'm in it. And it's terrifying. It feels like the survival instinct kicks in. People just looking for the exits, trying to get out of there. So that was the part that I didn't understand. I couldn't understand for the longest time. Why? This is good news. There's no downside. Let me know if you see any downside to it. So if no action happens, we're still good, right? But the action happens, and it happens, and I've got it here listed. I've got the ToBe Project. What we're doing, I'm going to come to it, which is really your point. The ToBe Project has two components. One is the localities, the different localities, and the other is the organizing process at the global level. So we need to randomly select people, we need to fly them in, we need to have interpreters, we need to blah, blah, blah. There's stuff to do. And we want to have media coordinators at the different localities, and we teach them, whatever. So those are the components of it. So it can happen. We need, I think, about $10 million. That's what we calculated for the first year. And we need people in different localities saying, hey, I can gather a big group of people where I live. And we need them all over the world. So, but then the next point I wanted to bring up was immense benefits arise. And this comes to your action question. Actions happen from the process itself, for one thing. It's about building education, it's about educating people, it's about having a new culture of cooperation, it's about appreciating diversity because of the nature of choice creating. It's about people opening their hearts, just the process with no actions at all. Because you have this group, and you have this local groups, and you have lots of local groups, and you have the broadcast TV groups, they're all meeting, and you have the online app. So just the process is so fundamentally different. When we slip into choice creating instead of decision making, it's exhilarating. It's like the people would leave my seminar and say, oh, problem solving jazz, this is fun. To solve problems with diversity. You need diversity to have a breakthrough. So, and then the other thing, and then beyond just the process, the group has conclusions. They come up with answers. And so when the answers they come up with, if everybody's nodding, I'm a politician, I'm smart, I jump ahead. I say, this is what I've been saying all along. In other words, the reason why politicians go into tribes is because they want to get reelected, right? How do you get reelected if you have a majority, a growing mass of people saying, no, we don't want any of that politics stuff. We want human values. We want to aim here, and this is how we aim to do it. And so the conclusions are wise and responsible, and on the issues, and also when it's all these other actors. The people respond. Oh, we're all coming to. This is the way the world's turning. This is what we're doing. So they respond, and the organizations. So all these actions that are part of the global Earth repair now have a receptive audience, not only to the we the people piece, but they have. The people now are already on board with a lot of this stuff, and they're already on board. The organizations are tilting this way, and the officials get it that if we're going to make policy, we have to respond to this new emergent we the people audience. Yes.
Can you share an example of where that's happened and taken place and new policies been created that is fairly recent?
Well, that's a really good question. I was thinking, because I'm not in Austria, so I do have examples of that. But so much of what happens isn't so. Policies are the only thing we got in this system. As soon as we change systems, it's like, oh, yeah, why would we be making laws about that? So there's a transformation. Like, for instance, I did one group with on abortion. And they were just so angry, you know, and then, I mean, that's where they were. And then we came into the room and we talked about solutions. What's your solution? Oh yeah, we got to policy this, and what's your solution? Policy that. And then as they get talking, they realize, hey, the real goal here is we just don't want people to choose abortion. How do we assure that every child born is born into a family that wants and loves them? That was their problem statement. Well, all of a sudden, they're all working together trying to figure that out. What's the best way to do that? And only the whole idea of policy just kind of goes to the sidelines when you're really working on the problem. Yeah.
Could you talk a little bit more about the role of the local group versus the role of the Wisdom Council?
Yeah, well, that's right. Well, first of all, we were organizing, and there's one group organizing things, and they get together the Wisdom Council. Now, the Wisdom Council, you just are randomly selected. You show up, okay, I'm here. I mean, I was neat. I got to fly to wherever it was, London, and see what's going on, and we went out for a while, and then we just go into a room, and probably there's an issue already on board, so we know that we're going to start talking about whatever. It's immigrants, probably. That's a big one. So then, so the Wisdom Council just meets and talks with these people in a way that is exciting for them. They're pumped. They leave the room like this. Every time they go, God, this has got to keep going, you know. But so the Wisdom Council is just facilitating the rest of us to be in a better conversation. So now, and how do we organize the rest of us? One is we've got a local group. We're going to start small. We'll have a local group, face-to-face, randomly selected from the global population, but they'll present to a local group, and the local media will probably say, hey, you mean these people are coming from all over the world? What? Well, they'll cover it. And then next time, we're going to go to, not London, but we're going to go to, I don't know, Tanzania or something. And then the local media there will cover it. And we have a different group. But we have a story that is already starting to evolve around immigration in the world, or the war and wars or something. And then, and what we find is, and then we're going to do it a third time. But those people are still going to meet and hear. I mean, so they're going to gather a local group to hear this Wisdom Council talk. And that group does too. And so we're building, we start out at scale and we fill it in. We're not starting, it's not ground up or top down. We start with a random selection of people and take their picture, and that's a symbol of all of us. They go into a room, they come out, they're a symbol of we the people. And it turns out that what they say generates a lot of interest, and it's an empowerment. So we're calling those gatherings, each one, empowerment gatherings, because everybody's now part of a global transformation process. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, the only thing, and thank you, yes, you definitely answered it. It's still how it gets global from the local.
Well, were you saying that the wisdom circles go and create and speak to, then you create the local groups in different places? Is that?
Yeah, we want people. Somebody here could say, "Holy shit, this should happen." I live in an interesting place. Maybe I've got a lot of people around me that would love to affect this global transformation that we're talking about. And the transformation we're talking about is not just the biosphere and all these answers. It's the L curve, the weapons, the MEGA. It's the meta crisis. How do we tear apart the meta crisis? And how the fact that our system no longer fits our situation. So I've got people that would want to do that. So we rely on the people in the locality, and maybe we have 3 or 4 to start out with. One here, one there, one there. And we just start with one. We randomly select people from the global population. They bring them to your hometown. I forget where you're from. You're from Portland. You come into Portland, and chances are the Portland media is going to be excited about this taking pictures, see what they do. And then they go into a room for 2.5 days maybe, and they come out, and then anybody in Portland that wants to come gather and hear what they say, come. And so they'll gather in the room, and we have people remotely wanting to hear what they're going to say, and they're talking maybe about the fear of war, or the war in Iran, or the Israeli conflict, or just whatever. You make it up. I mean, the big ones, the big issues. And so people are interested to see what this random group is going to say. And then we say, oh, we're going to do again next time. So the next month we go to some other city in Santa Cruz, California, and we do the same thing, except the people in Portland want to see what's going to go on with that next, what happened with our story. We're buying into that story that they came up with. What happened to that? Did they develop it further, or did they have a different view, or what? And so our trick here is it'd be great to have lots of money and lots of media and just make a big thing of it, but we don't have that. So we're going to be hidden behind the curtain for a while, until all of a sudden I think people are going to wake up and realize, wait a minute, this is a real thing. It's not a social movement, but it's more powerful than that, because it can change the Constitution. It can change the system. I mean, it is a change of the system. Yes?
I guess I'm thinking about or considering, given it's a random selection of people and the intention is diversity, of how safe people feel really speaking their heart or their mind in a group of people who are other than them, or who do have, diverse perspectives. Just that question around safety.
Safety. Well, the safety, the problem isn't the people in the room that have different perspectives. That works fine. The problem is their government back home that is wondering what they're going to say. Of course, we have to keep them safe and secure in what they come up with, and it becomes evident when somebody can't just be themselves in the process. That everybody can get it. That they're not really themselves. So yeah, there is a security problem, especially globally. But we just have to keep them. I did a thing in Pleasantville, New York one time, a Wisdom Council example, and it was before we learned this, okay? And this woman was selected, and her husband was in the back of the room. Well, she just constantly couldn't be herself, and it's like, oh, I didn't anticipate that. Whoops. so we had to change that. Now we protect people.
How do you protect people?
Well, we seal the room. Nobody can be in there but the camera people or whatever, and the facilitator and the people. And we ask them not to talk to others about what's coming up and stuff during the breaks, and so it's always a communal thing, And someone might say, well, I have to be strong and represent my government, because they can say that. And so, okay, now we have a new problem. How do we help you be strong or appear strong and represent, what you did? And, everybody helps that person deal with their issue so that we can all move the dial forward in the right, in a real direction. Yeah.
Question about how do you pick the random people?
Well, it's pure random, so we're not going to do that. We're going to turn that over to some polling agency or something. We want a polling agency to just deliver pure random.
Because there's men and there's women and there's everyone else, and also people. I can imagine picking someone and they can't leave because of their job or financial responsibility.
Yeah, we set up.
Only get the people that are retired, or
yeah.
How do you?
Well, we set up rules ahead of time, like we're going to make 3 phone calls. If they only answer by 3 times, we're going to visit their door. We're going to do this or that. We're going to, if they need transportation, we'll go have a car, pick them up. It's the hub that has to figure out we want the 12 or 16 people that we select to come. And we'll do a lot to try and get that, but we can't do everything. And then, we did one in my hometown, and this woman who was about my age, I think, but she was real frail, and so she we talked her into coming. And then she was kind of a star because we were talking about box stores coming into Port Townsend. I forgot you all know where Port Townsend is. So, but anyway, it was she said, it was just real quiet. Everybody's really anxious about Rite Aid coming to town, and I think McDonald's was part of that. And she said, well, I mean, J.C. Penney's was here a long time ago, and they were wonderful. And it just kind of rocked everybody. We forgot that box stores are not new. I mean, these chains, they aren't new. Anyway, that was she was a star. So, let's see. Okay, so have I gone through this? No. So immense benefits, and then the third benefit is from the system transformation itself. Like, if there is a legitimate we the people, we're living in a democracy. We don't have a democracy, right? We all get that? We all say we are, and then we have this authoritarian threat and we want to get back to democracy. No, that's not the idea. We want to go to democracy, to a real democracy. And we call it a wise democracy, of, by, and for the people, plus wisdom. And so that has immense. Bottom line, what that does is it stops creating the monster problems that we started with, because these monsters, wherever they are caused. Oh, here they are, over here. These monsters, plus the ones you mentioned, are caused by this disconnect between our system and our situation. We have to upgrade our system to a new system. And this, to me, this is about the circle system as opposed to what I call the box. Yeah, or wherever it is. Oh, there it is. So we have the triangle and the box. We think that's it. That's all we got. No, we just add this missing conversation in the spirit of choice creating. We just add one ongoing whole system choice creating conversation, and we're in a different system. We're now in something like what indigenous peoples around the world would do, to stop and think in a way that we can all say yes to. Yes, of course we want that. Of course we want these values, DEI, you may remember them. They've been in the news a lot. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Okay, DEI, these values, they don't work on this system. If you're going to have you can't have DEI in a triangle system. But they're entirely essential if we're going to have a circle system. Diversity, equity, inclusion. That's how we get to that. We can't just legislate it. If you just legislate it, you get pissed off people in the minority, right? We find out even now the whole civil rights movement, which was a huge success, is being reversed by people who are still pissed off. This is a system that this can't work in my judgment, and so it's natural that we would be drifting back to this. So we need to go forward. We need to go to this next, we have to start thinking. And here's a way to do it. So, okay, and then, so the new system arises, governance, economics. I know this is a lot to believe, but I've been wrestling with this beast for over 30 years, and I am so convinced. This is a lot of stories. But anyway, the bottom line, so I'm saying that if we want to deal not only with all these, coordinating all these, is to really affect that, is to have these independent localities, and then do the independent actions, and then to assure that the ToBe Project happens at the global level.
When you say
Yeah.
global, you had the example of the box stores here in Port Townsend.
Yeah.
That wouldn't go global.
If that one, what?
That one wouldn't go global.
No, that's not. They wouldn't choose that issue for the global.
Okay.
Yeah, global issues are war,
We're talking specifically.
poverty. I mean, poverty is a safe issue for people. It turns into a maldistribution of wealth thing when you start thinking creatively about it. Well, oh, by the way, I did.
Sorry,
Yeah.
the bottom line piece, I can't read that.
Oh, sorry.
Here, but
Yeah.
could you go over it again?
Which one? This one, the bottom line?
Yes.
Well, so I'm talking to the GERC, these people, and I'm saying, look, the bottom line, yeah, go ahead and do your independent thing, but it's just an independent thing. Unless we work at this to assure that the ToBe Project happens, so then this independent thing you are doing is modeling and being part of a much bigger movement. So it really requires a global effort as well as, and you don't have to do anything, but you could support it in some way, you know?
Oh, can you describe, I mean, how do we get there? Do we need an agreement for a global effort? And so, but we don't have to do that.
No. In other words, when you meet with your friends and you look at some problem and you all say, yeah, let's just do this, whatever it is. Let's all, I don't know, put money into that effort or go to the movies or whatever it might be. You all just go do that. And so there's and that's what we're doing. We have a whole system conversation that the people are in, the organizations are in, the people in the organizations, the officials are in. We're all in one conversation, and we're facing some problem that we really, really, really care about, and we're realizing we come up with a shared vision of what we're all trying to do and what we want. You know, the people in the oil companies are in a role. They're stuck. They have to, by law, they have to protect their investment in the ground and make sure it comes up. So they're doing everything they can to make sure that still comes up. As soon as they become people, and it isn't what we're doing anymore. We're not doing this game anymore. We're figuring things out together that work for everybody. Oh, that's a different world. Now I don't have to play. I don't have to have all the points. You know, I tease my friends. I say, look, okay, you're up by 30 points in a basketball game. Somebody comes to you and says, hey, you're up 30 points. You got to give some of those points to the other team. Well, they'll laugh you out of the room. I mean, that's not how it works. That's not how games work. And that's what we have. We have that. So Elon Musk is never going to be satisfied unless he has it all. And same with these guys. It's a game. It's structured to be that game.
So I'm stuck. How do we move to that? You're saying that we can do it without global buy-in, yet we've got 5 guys that have all the fucking power.
Yes, yes, that's right. No, you're right. Absolutely right. So if you and I set up the conversation where we're all people talking together about what we want, what's going on, what's really wrong, and then the ideas include everybody in that same conversation where all of us are in. All of a sudden it becomes an embarrassment to have all that money. It's embarrassing. You change the context. I mean, when I go to a basketball game, I might yell at a referee like, what a jerk. And then I go into a church or something. I'm not going to do that. You change the context and people become different. You put a game out there. No, I'm not giving my points to those guys. Stupid idea. But you set it up that we're all in one enterprise here, working together, trying to solve society's biggest issues. Well, that's a different system. It's a different context. Yeah.
Wait, so what are you saying the epiphany would be that the group would come to that would make those people in power embarrassed?
Well, I'm not saying it would be an epiphany. I'm saying that there's a context. In other words, you know, if it's a fire and you're running out of a building naked, you're not that embarrassed. I mean, you might be a little embarrassed, but otherwise you'd be embarrassed. I mean, you set the context up in one way, and behaviors are different than they're set up in another way.
Okay, so do you think that there isn't enough context currently?
Well, the context is it's a game. We are playing a game, they are winning. I don't,
And you think the conversation would facilitate like a deeper understanding of that?
no, it would facilitate a different system, a different context. We would set up a context where we're not in a game anymore. I mean, it might be a game, we're still playing maybe, but more importantly is the beer afterwards where we all gather with people as friends. Now we have Thanksgiving dinner, and sure, we play Scrabble. I'm trying to win in the Scrabble game, but that's not my values. But we structure a context that is commonsensical. Hey, we're in desperate straits here. We got wars. Look at these. I mean, these proliferation of mass destruction, weapons. You just need a few kooks, and we're going to have big troubles. We have to have everybody in the new conversation, and it has to be a creative, collaborative conversation. And when you do that, I mean, everything changes. The asshole in the office that we've always had becomes your best friend. I mean, it's like, what's going on here? How did that happen? I told you that everybody wanted to fire the foreman. And in the case, how that ended up is that after a year, the foremen were asked, what do you think? You want to come in and join the group? And they all said, they said yes. Okay, we're going to join the group. But they were crying. Both guys were crying because they didn't know those people could be so good. They didn't realize. And then the people said, yeah, they're a real help. They're wonderful, And it's just everything changed. And that's what we need to do. We need to change the context. And there's the we that can do that is just a few, just a few of us. Just us. We need money, we need a few things, but yeah.
I get emotional imagining having so much confidence in each other that we could begin with a random gathering. And I'm there, I believe it, where I'm not, I can't make the shift to, if we're going to use this ToBe
Project, yeah.
Like, how do you spend $10 million? Step one, you're writing a
I hire
report.
people.
What are you going to do?
I hire people. Yeah, there's people, the people that are really excited about this have to run and earn a living.
Yeah.
And that's not working. I want to hire them. Then we can do it.
Okay, hiring for what?
So that we can set this up.
Okay.
Yeah, we set it up. So that's part of it. We'll have meetings and structure what we do, but basically, here's what we're going to do. We need to get some localities identified and some people out there that are willing to organize things. We're going to start small. We'll try right here in Port Townsend, it can be. We're going to have to randomly select. We hire a firm that is known as a, pollster. They'll deliver. We just want them to deliver 12 to 16 people, in this time frame. But they're going to be, and we have to compensate them. I don't know how much. We have to give them a stipend, I guess. But, just stuff like that.
And then each gathering will have a focus, and you just build.
Yeah, it could be the same one as last time, but yes. Could be. And it doesn't matter we'll start with an issue, but the real deal is the Wisdom Council itself will pick the issue. Even though, the group may say, okay, we're going to work on immigration or poverty, work on poverty. Well, the Wisdom Council likely will say, it's really about distribution of wealth. We can't just heal the poor people. That's not going to work. That's the way people want you to think about it, but I think as soon as anybody puts any thought into it, they realize, oh, wait a minute, this distribution of wealth can't work in a quote, democracy.
You said there was a website?
Say again, Carolyn?
You said there was a website?
Yes, wisedemocracy.org. Please take it out. There's a seminar, free seminars. There's lots of examples. There's lots of, interviews, and you do the later ones because the ideas evolve forward. We learn every time we do something. So it's and the crazy thing is, we're stopping, a little bit. Like I've been to some seminars. This is fantastic to go to this conference, but I've been to the largest gathering. A friend of mine in the town died, and he left our nonprofit $10,000. So 5 of us went to the largest gathering of climate scientists in the world, and we had a booth, and we had TV cameras and everything, and we had a big sign in the back of the booth that said, "How to get humanity to act." Well, they didn't. None of those people came by. We thought that was their biggest problem. We were so wrong. They're busy. Their biggest problem is getting their next paper published. They're not doing that. They're not solving the problem. Then I went to the next conference in York, England, and the transforming global society. Okay, great. Here, this is my group. No, they're all researchers writing papers. They don't. There's nobody own the problem. Who owns these problems? Well, maybe GERC. Maybe you guys do. Because if you hear an out of bounds idea, do you lean forward or do you lean back? Because most of these go, oh no, we don't want to be talking about anything big, because we're busy with our projects. Who owns them? I think after the AGU conference, we went to the different booths. We said to the Environmental Protection Agency, what would happen if there was a breakthrough? Who would we talk to? I don't know. You went to Union Concerned Scientists. Who would we talk to? Well, no, I don't know. We have to raise money. We can't be political. Blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's like, okay, who's out there owning this problem? Well, people...
This problem is not like the meta crisis. Everybody's working for a different not-for-profit or regulatory agency or whatever, and there is no holistic approach to the thing.
Yes, that's what I've discovered too. And it's so upsetting.
Well, there's also no agreement on what the problems actually are. Some people might think war is a problem and some people might not.
Some people might think that what?
War is a problem.
Oh, yeah.
And other people might not.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a solution for somebody. I mean, Donald Trump thinks that's a solution. He's to what problems we don't know. But so you're always dealing with that. But when you get people in the room and you have to talk, then I call it the purge. They give their purge answer, and then everybody gives their purge answer, and it's like none of this work's going to work. So okay, then they start talking, and they come up with something that makes sense. So, yeah, I got some cards here, some flyers and stuff, and I really appreciate your sticking it out. And
say more about your organization, like who are you and what are you doing and what do you need?
Well, we call ourselves the Center for Wise Democracy, and really a lot of it's really been me and my wife, my first wife, and then I did my seminars, I kept doing my seminars, so now we have some other people that are involved, but it's hard for somebody to just go, holy shit, this has to happen. And last year we had a gathering of what I thought was just us, the people that were all saying yes. We had it here in Port Townsend or on Marrowstone Island, but I realized they just can't do it. They can't break their life loose enough. There isn't I just want to find out who's out there, who can own this problem, because this has to happen. I don't know what else is out there. We've tested each element of this, and okay, we haven't tested the global part or the national part, but we've done it at large scale, and it really can work. And it is driven by indigenous wisdom in the sense of the conversation, the caliber of the conversation. They would use kivas or talking sticks or something, ceremonies. So that's the caliber of conversation we have to have back. So.
It sounds like a restorative circle type, restorative justice type model. And sometimes those are when there's conflict and you're bringing people together to hear each other, and the hope is that ultimately everybody knows what to do because they've been guided towards hearing each other.
Yeah, we're going to hold a space. The way we do it is we have 4 charts: solutions, data, concerns, problem statements. And whatever you say goes on one of those charts. We're going to hear whatever anybody says. And at some point, they start to make sense. It's like, oh, wait a minute. What problem we thought we had isn't really it. It's this problem. That's the real problem statement. And now these solutions that we've been talking about, they're kind of irrelevant. This is what we really need to be doing. And so we need to find more data here. We need to find that out. So it's kind of an action thing that has to happen. And some, let's say, how does it do with our concerns? Oh yeah, that pretty much, we handled our concerns. So it's a way of holding space where everybody gets who they are. In fact, what happens after a while is people stop with the pulling stuff off the shelf in the back of the brain, and they start looking inside to find out what they really feel, what they really think, and they become more authentic. And that's how we start making progress. Way fun. Okay, let me give you a hint about getting older. I'm 80. Getting older is having a mission. So I invite you all to share my mission. So, yeah, thank you. Oh, yeah.
So I'm just curious, when you presented this to groups in the past, what's been sort of the response or responses that you get? Has this discussion been very similar, or have they been just totally different discussions? Well,
I do great when, it's the society's breakthrough is the problem. As soon as I start talking about down here, the 4th level, we're applying the Wisdom Council process nationally and globally. People are looking for any possible interruption in the conversation that they get to go, oh, look at the birds, my God. Anything to get out of this conversation.
Get out of what conversation?
The one about society's breakthrough. That's why I'm celebrating that you're here. You're still here. Yeah, it's a thing that it's just, I think it triggers the survival instinct. It's like, oh my God, I'm a lawyer, what would I do? Or whatever. Everybody's identity is now endangered, but there's no collective. I can't find anything in the collective field that's a concern or a problem.
So let me ask you this. What do you think the big breakthrough is? And when you say society's big breakthrough, that's quote, right? Society's big breakthrough. So what is that for you? What is the big breakthrough for you?
Well, it's it's accessible. It's something we can just do. That we zero, can do, and it's going to work. We need money. We need enough people, not that many. I mean, that's a breakthrough. Picture Copernicus on his deathbed. Okay, Copernicus, he's saying, no, the Earth isn't the center. It's the sun is the center, and the Earth's going like that around, So he's changing the worldview. He's challenging, but it's not just the data and information. He's challenging the entire structure of society. That's what I think is happening here. In other words, the structure of society in his time was the Catholic Church and the Bible as interpreted by the priests and blah blah blah. Okay, he's challenging the whole hierarchy, everything. But all he's saying, he's got these clever idea of moving around. Well, I think that's what we're doing too. It terrifies in the same way. we have a society that kind of got, well, we had this Native American thing was just beautiful that way. They're just telling us how we've lost track of our hearts, and the minds somehow got on top, and blah, 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 and we're in a conceptual worldview. I mean, the Enlightenment was beautiful. The scientific revolution, all that stuff was great. But we lost the heart. So this is about how do we get it back? But it's a process. It's not about we as individuals. Okay, it's back for me, and I'm in my little community, and I need another community, and maybe we'll link the communities. I don't see that working.
You talked about things that people can do despite being in this kind of class power struggle we're in, that this process can bring us to effective things we can do despite the power problem that we're living with.
Well, I think, this also overturns the power thing, but it is true that what we really, we're meeting. I guess we have to stop. So how? Yeah. Anyway, it's all of it. That how do we find what we can do? And right now, I mean, I think. If you know somebody who's, I think we need $10 million. That's what I think we need. And just a few people. We need, 12 or 16 people to start. Well, that's what and we'll just start it. But I think we'll do the US first, because that's the one in real danger. And then global. Global's harder, because it'll be harder. Thank you for staying. That's really cool.